Ladies and gentlemen, fear, that invisible wall standing between you and the life you know you're meant to live. Every single one of us has it. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But let me tell you this, fear is not here to stop you. Fear is here to challenge you. The first step to conquering fear is simple. Face it, you cannot escape what you refuse to confront. When you turn toward fear instead of running from it, something powerful happens. You realize that most of your fears exist only in your imagination. Second, shift your focus. If you keep feeding fear with your attention, it grows. But the moment you focus on possibilities, solutions, and opportunities, you starve fear and strengthen courage. Energy flows where focus goes. Third, reprogram your mind. Fear thrives on limiting beliefs. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? Stop giving power to these lies. Replace them with empowering beliefs. I am capable. I am resourceful. I will figure it out. Fourth, use fear as fuel. Fear is just energy. Instead of letting it paralyze you, channel it into your performance. Athletes, leaders, creators, they all feel fear, but they transform it into drive. That's what separates those who try from those who triumph. Fifth, build unshakable confidence. Confidence doesn't appear overnight. It's built step by step. Celebrate every small victory. When you do the thing you fear, even in small doses, your brain starts believing, I can handle this. And finally, take relentless action. Action is the ultimate antidote to fear. You don't wait until you feel fearless. You move while fear is still there. And as you move, fear shrinks. Courage is simply fear in motion. So here's the truth. Fear will always be part of life. But the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who stay stuck is this. The fearless don't wait for fear to disappear. They rise above it, they master it, and they move forward anyway. Stay fearless, because your dreams, your destiny, your best life, they all live on the other side of fear. Fear loses its power the moment you confront it. Most people spend their entire lives running from fear, building it up in their minds into something far larger than it really is. Think about it. How many times have you worried about something for days, weeks, even months, only to finally face it and realize it wasn't nearly as terrifying as your mind made it out to be? Fear feeds on avoidance. The more you run, the stronger it grows. The moment you stop running and turn around to face it, you begin to shrink its grip. Facing your fear is not about pretending it doesn't exist. It's about standing tall and saying, I see you. I acknowledge you, but you don't control me. That single act of courage creates an internal shift more powerful than any motivational words could give you. When you face fear directly, you reclaim control over your life. Avoidance keeps you trapped, stuck in a cycle of what-ifs. But confrontation sets you free. Let's say you have a fear of speaking in public. The idea of standing in front of an audience terrifies you. If you keep avoiding it, the fear will never leave. It will actually grow stronger with every excuse you make. But the day you stand up, even with shaky hands and a pounding heart, you begin to dismantle the power that fear has held over you. Each step into discomfort teaches your nervous system that you are safe, that you are capable, and that fear is not fatal. Fear is a teacher, not a death sentence. Facing fear is also about awareness. Most of the time, fear is not a reflection of reality, but a story your mind is telling you. It's a projection of worst-case scenarios. You fear rejection, but the truth is, you've survived rejection before and grown from it. You fear failure, but failure has always been the stepping stone to your greatest growth. You fear judgment, but the reality is, people are far more focused on their own lives than they are on yours. When you face fear, you begin to separate fact from fiction. You begin to see fear for what it really is, an illusion created to keep you safe, but one that also keeps you small. The key is to take small, deliberate steps toward the things you fear. Don't wait for courage to magically appear. Courage is built in the act of doing. If you're afraid of starting a business, start small, make that call, draft that plan, take the first action. If you're afraid of having a difficult conversation, prepare yourself, then face it head on. Each time you step into the thing you fear, no matter how small, you build resilience. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you imagined. Over time, What once paralyzed you becomes manageable, and what was once impossible becomes normal. The real secret is this: fear is not your enemy, fear is a compass. It points directly toward the areas of your life where growth is waiting for you. The very thing you are most afraid of is usually the thing that will unlock your next level of strength, confidence, and fulfillment. That's why facing fear is not just about courage, it's about transformation. Every time you confront it, you step closer to the strongest, most authentic version of yourself. So when fear rises, don't run. Stand tall, take the first step. Let fear know that you refuse to bow to it. The moment you confront it, you'll realize it was never as big as you thought. You'll discover that fear is not a wall, it's a doorway. And on the other side of that doorway is the life you've been waiting for. What you focus on expands. Fear thrives when you feed it with attention, when you constantly replay the worst case scenarios in your mind, imagining everything that could go wrong. The more you focus on what you don't want, the bigger it feels until it dominates your thoughts and paralyzes your actions. But the truth is, you have the power to redirect your focus. The mind cannot fully concentrate on fear and faith at the same time. It will amplify whichever one you choose to nurture. By shifting your focus from problems to possibilities, from obstacles to opportunities, you begin to change the very way fear operates in your life. Fear tricks you into narrowing your attention on danger, real or imagined. It's part of our survival system, but in modern life, it often exaggerates risks and blinds us to solutions. When you catch yourself thinking, "What if I fail?" redirect that focus to, "What if I succeed? What if this changes my life? What if this is exactly what I need to grow?" That simple reframe opens your mind to creativity, courage, and solutions that fear tries to hide from you. The energy that once fueled anxiety now fuels progress. It's not about denying fear exists, but about mastering what you give your attention to. If you constantly focus on rejection, you'll hesitate to connect with people. If you focus on failure, you'll be too afraid to try. But if you focus on growth, on the lessons waiting in every experience, then even rejection and failure become stepping stones. Fear shrinks when your focus expands to see the bigger picture. Your perspective becomes your greatest tool. Think about the moments in your life when you accomplished something you once thought was impossible. At the beginning, fear might have been loud, whispering reasons to quit. But when you shifted your focus, maybe on the vision you wanted, the person you wanted to become, or the difference you wanted to make, that focus gave you strength to keep going. Energy flows where focus goes. You built momentum not because fear disappeared, but because your focus created clarity, determination, and action. Practical steps can help. One way is to practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus immediately. Instead of obsessing over what you lack or fear, you start noticing what you already have and how far you've come. Another way is to ask solution-oriented questions. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn? What can I do right now to move forward?" Your mind will always search for answers to the questions you feed it, so give it empowering ones. The most powerful shift happens when you decide to focus on purpose over fear. When your why becomes bigger than your fear, the fear loses leverage. If your focus is on protecting comfort, fear will win. But if your focus is on growth, contribution, or creating a life you're proud of, no fear can permanently stop you. Fear might still show up, but your focus ensures it no longer drives the car, it just becomes a passenger. Fear feeds on your attention, but courage grows when you feed it instead. You choose every single day where your focus goes. Choose to focus on possibility, on purpose, on the vision of who you're becoming. When you do, fear may knock at your door, but it won't run your life. Instead, you'll move forward with clarity and power, proving that your focus shapes your future. Your mind is the operating system of your life, and just like any system, it can be programmed and reprogrammed. Most fears are not rooted in reality, but in the beliefs we carry, often picked up unconsciously from childhood, society, or past failures. These limiting beliefs act like viruses in the system, constantly whispering things like, "You're not good enough," "You'll never succeed," or "It's too risky to try." When these beliefs run unchecked, they shape the way you see the world and determine the actions you take or avoid. The key to conquering fear is not to wait for it to vanish, but to consciously reprogram your mind with beliefs that empower you rather than hold you back. Reprogramming your mind begins with awareness. You cannot change what you don't notice. Start by observing your self-talk when fear shows up. Do you immediately think of failure? Do you assume the worst outcome? These are signals of old conditioning. Fear often thrives because you've rehearsed the wrong story so many times it feels like truth. But a belief is nothing more than a thought you've repeated enough times that it became automatic. And if repetition built the old belief, repetition can also create a new one. The process of reprogramming requires challenging the validity of those old beliefs. Ask yourself, is this fear grounded in fact, or is it just a story I'm telling myself? Have I ever faced something similar and succeeded? What evidence do I have that I am capable of handling this? By questioning the lies fear tells, you weaken their power and create space for new, empowering beliefs. Fear thrives in unquestioned assumptions, but it crumbles under investigation. Once you've exposed the lies, it's time to install new programming. Instead of saying, I can't do this, replace it with, I may not know everything yet, but I can learn and grow. Instead of believing, I always fail, tell yourself, every setback prepares me for a stronger comeback. These affirmations are not about blind positivity. They are reminders that your mind listens to your words, and the language you choose directs your emotions and actions. Speak the language of courage, and your brain begins to act accordingly. Visualization is another powerful tool. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's real. When you mentally rehearse yourself facing fear successfully, speaking confidently on stage, taking that leap of faith, thriving in a challenge, you train your nervous system to believe it's possible. Athletes, performers, and leaders use this because it primes the mind and body for victory. Each time you visualize success, you are reprogramming your subconscious to expect a positive outcome instead of a fearful one. Your environment also plays a role. Surround yourself with voices and influences that reinforce courage and growth. If you constantly consume negativity or spend time with people who reinforce your fears, your old programming will stay active. But if you read empowering material, listen to stories of resilience, and connect with people who lift you higher, your mind begins to absorb a new standard of what's possible. Fear is contagious, but so is courage. Finally, take consistent action. Nothing rewires the brain faster than experience. Every time you face a fear and survive it, your subconscious gets new evidence that you are capable. Over time, the belief of I can't is overwritten with I can handle this. Action creates proof, and proof transforms belief. That is how lasting reprogramming happens. Reprogramming your mind doesn't mean eliminating fear forever. It means upgrading the way you respond to it. Instead of letting fear trigger paralysis, your new mental coding reminds you that fear is a signal of growth, not a stop sign. When you consciously choose empowering beliefs, reinforce them through language, visualization, environment, and action, you build a mindset that no longer bows to fear. You take back control of your inner operating system, and once the mind is free, no external fear can hold you back. Fear is energy. Most people see it only as an obstacle, something that blocks them, paralyzes them, and steals opportunities. But what if fear wasn't meant to stop you, but to fuel you? The very sensation of fear, the racing heartbeat, the quickened breath, the heightened alertness, is your body generating energy. It's preparing you to act, to move, to perform at your best. The problem isn't fear itself, but how you interpret it. When you see fear as danger, it cripples you. When you see fear as fuel, it empowers you. Think of the greatest performers, athletes, or leaders in history. Do you think they never felt fear? Of course they did. Before stepping on stage, before entering the arena, before making bold decisions, their bodies responded the same way yours does. Adrenaline pumping, nerves firing, doubt whispering. The difference is they didn't interpret fear as a signal to stop. They reframed it as energy, as readiness, as proof that what they were about to do mattered. They used that nervous energy as fuel to sharpen their focus, heighten their awareness, and push themselves to higher performance. Your body already gives you what you need. Fear increases your alertness, speeds up your reflexes, and floods you with energy. Most people waste this gift by trying to suppress it or run from it. But what if instead of resisting fear, you welcomed it? What if you said, "This energy means I'm alive, it means I'm growing, it means I'm ready to rise to the challenge"? The same adrenaline that feels like panic can also feel like power when you choose to direct it. A powerful way to turn fear into fuel is through reframing. When you're about to face something scary, instead of telling yourself, "I'm terrified," say, "I'm excited." The physical symptoms of fear and excitement are almost identical: racing heart, sweaty palms, butterflies in the stomach. The only difference is the meaning you attach to them. By labeling the experience as excitement, you trick your mind into channeling the energy forward instead of letting it hold you back. This simple shift can transform paralysis into momentum. Another way to harness fear is by linking it to your vision. If you're afraid of failing, use that fear to push you to prepare harder, to commit more deeply, to give more of yourself. Let the fear of staying stuck become greater than the fear of moving forward. Fear can push you to develop new skills, to innovate, to stretch beyond your comfort zone. Without fear, many people would never grow because comfort is seductive. Fear disrupts comfort and demands action. When you realize that, fear becomes a driving force rather than a roadblock. Even in failure, fear as fuel teaches you. Every time you face something scary and take action anyway, you expand your capacity for courage. The energy of fear, once channeled, builds resilience and self-belief. You start to realize, if I can handle this, I can handle more. What once triggered panic now becomes a source of motivation. The fear of rejection can fuel you to become a better communicator. The fear of loss can fuel you to appreciate and protect what matters. The fear of not being enough can fuel you to grow into your best self. The truth is, fear will never disappear completely. It will always show up at the edge of growth. But instead of resisting it, welcome it as a partner. See it as the fuel that powers your journey forward. Every great achievement in your life will come with some level of fear, but if you choose to channel that energy instead of being crushed by it, fear becomes your greatest ally. It stops being the thing that drains you and starts being the force that drives you. That is the secret. Fear is not weakness. Fear is fuel. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build. People often think that confident individuals never feel doubt or fear, but the truth is, confidence comes from action, from repetition, from proving to yourself that you are capable. It is the result of stacking small victories until you develop an inner certainty that no setback can shake. Building unshakable confidence is not about arrogance or pretending you have it all figured out. It is about cultivating a deep trust in yourself, knowing that whatever comes, you can handle it. The process begins with small wins. Every time you commit to doing something and follow through, you send a message to your brain: I can rely on myself. It doesn't matter how small the action is: waking up early when you said you would, finishing a task you promised yourself you'd complete, speaking up in a moment when you usually stay silent. Each act of courage, each moment of integrity, is like a brick in the foundation of your confidence. Over time, these small bricks create a solid structure that supports you in bigger challenges. One of the biggest enemies of confidence is comparison. When you measure yourself against others, you will always find someone smarter, stronger, more experienced. That comparison weakens your belief in yourself. The key is to shift focus inward and measure progress against your past self, not against someone else's highlight reel. Confidence grows when you acknowledge how far you have come, when you recognize the progress you've made instead of fixating on what you still lack. Every step forward, no matter how small, deserves recognition. Another crucial part of confidence is learning to embrace failure. Most people avoid risks because they fear making mistakes, but mistakes are not proof of weakness. They are proof that you are trying, learning, evolving. Every failure carries feedback, and that feedback is the raw material of growth. The more you fail and recover, the stronger your belief becomes that you can handle anything. That resilience is the essence of unshakable confidence. It is not about never falling down, it is about knowing you will always rise again. Confidence is also built through preparation. When you prepare, you replace uncertainty with readiness. Think of an athlete before a big competition. They train, they rehearse, they practice until the actions become second nature. The more prepared you are, the less power fear has over you. Preparation transforms nervous energy into focused execution because deep down you know you've done the work. Confidence is not blind faith. It is earned through consistent effort and preparation. Your environment plays a role as well. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who encourage your growth, who challenge you to aim higher. Being in the presence of support and positivity strengthens your own self-belief. At the same time, be mindful of the voices you allow into your mind. If you constantly feed yourself with negativity, doubt, or criticism, your confidence erodes. But if you feed yourself with empowering thoughts, affirmations, and examples of resilience, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of greatness. Ultimately, unshakable confidence comes from trust. Trust that you can figure things out, trust that you can adapt, trust that even if you stumble, you will find your way forward. It is not about being fearless, but about knowing fear cannot control you. The more you act, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable, and the stronger your inner certainty becomes. Confidence is built, not given. And when you build it brick by brick, through small wins, preparation, resilience, and self-trust, it becomes unshakable, a foundation that fear cannot break and that no challenge can destroy. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward in spite of it. Many people wait until they feel fearless before they take action, but that day never comes. Fear doesn't vanish on its own. It lingers, waiting for a moment of hesitation to grow stronger. The only true antidote to fear is action. The moment you take a step forward, even a small one, fear begins to lose its grip. Action transforms anxiety into momentum, doubt into progress, and hesitation into confidence. That is why relentless action is the key to conquering fear. Taking relentless action means refusing to let fear dictate your pace. It is not about making one bold move and stopping. It is about consistent forward motion. Each step you take creates evidence that you are capable, and that evidence becomes the foundation for your belief in yourself. Fear thrives in stillness, in overthinking, in hesitation. But when you move, when you keep acting, you leave no room for fear to paralyze you. Progress itself becomes a shield against doubt. Relentless action also builds resilience. The truth is, not every action will bring instant success. Sometimes you will stumble, sometimes you will fall short, sometimes the outcome will not be what you hoped for, but every time you act, you learn. You gather feedback, you adapt, and you grow stronger. This cycle of acting, learning, and adjusting develops a kind of unshakable toughness that fear cannot penetrate. Failure no longer feels like the end. It becomes fuel for your next move. Momentum is another powerful result of relentless action. Think of a heavy object. It is hard to move at first, but once it starts rolling, it builds speed and becomes unstoppable. The same is true in life. The hardest step is the first one, but once you take it and continue to act, your momentum builds. That momentum carries you through moments of doubt and fear, because the energy of action is stronger than the weight of hesitation. The more you move, the less fear can catch up to you. Another critical piece of relentless action is breaking down your challenges into smaller steps. Often, fear feels overwhelming because the goal looks too big, too far, or too uncertain. But when you divide it into manageable actions and start with the first step, fear shrinks. Each small victory gives you proof that you can handle more. Over time, those small actions compound into massive transformation. Fear has no chance to grow when you are consistently stacking wins. Relentless action is also about commitment. It means deciding that no matter what happens, you will keep moving forward. It is a mindset that says, I may feel fear, but fear does not get to decide my future. This commitment creates discipline, and discipline sustains you in moments when motivation fades. Fear may knock at the door, but your commitment to act keeps you moving anyway. That consistency builds a reputation with yourself. You learn to trust that you will follow through, and that trust becomes a powerful force against fear. The most liberating truth is that courage grows through action. You don't wait to feel brave, you act, and through that action, bravery emerges. Every great accomplishment in history happened not because someone was fearless, but because someone chose to move despite fear. They took the leap, they made the call, they showed up when everything inside them said to hide, and with each step, fear became smaller and their strength became greater. When you commit to relentless action, fear stops being the driver of your life. It may still whisper, but it no longer controls your path. Each action you take pushes you closer to your goals, builds your resilience, strengthens your confidence, and transforms your fear into fuel. Relentless action is the bridge between fear and freedom, between hesitation and achievement. And when you walk that bridge, step after step, you discover that the power to conquer fear was never outside of you. It was always in your decision to move.